There is a sacred silence in heaven that begins to tremble when your name is whispered through the wind. And today, that silence is breaking because Jesus has stepped forward with something to show you, something you've left behind in the echoes of your younger faith, something precious, overlooked, and now resurrected. The prayers you forgot you even prayed. He wants you to know that no word you ever lifted in faith disappeared into emptiness. Every sigh, every whisper in the dark, every tear-soaked plea that once left your lips and seemed unanswered was actually caught in the hands of angels who were instructed not to let it fall to the ground. You think they were lost, expired, irrelevant now, that time has passed and seasons have changed, but Jesus says no. Those prayers became seeds planted in the eternal soil of divine timing. And now, even if your conscious mind cannot remember what your spirit once cried out for, the Spirit of God remembers in full, and He is beginning to water them again with the rain of His presence. These forgotten prayers are not abandoned. They are merely hidden, buried treasures in your soul, guarded until the moment you would need them the most. And now that moment has arrived. You feel a shift, don't you? An unexplained stirring, a restlessness in your spirit that words cannot quite explain. That is not confusion. That is the echo of divine memory awakening within you. The gentle stirring of old petitions now rising to the surface, wrapped in the fragrance of God's mercy. You thought your best days of faith were behind you, but Jesus says no. Your most powerful prayers weren't the ones you said with loud words and open Bibles, but the ones you sobbed into pillows, the ones you whispered when you thought nobody heard, the ones you didn't even finish because you fell asleep mid-sentence. Those are the ones being activated now. You don't have to remember what you asked for, because heaven remembers and heaven doesn't forget. Some of the doors opening for you soon will not make sense to your current circumstances, and you'll be tempted to think you don't deserve them. But Jesus says, these are the answers to the prayers you forgot you ever prayed. That relationship you let go of, that child you cried over, that job you lost, that dream you buried. He was listening then, and He never stopped moving behind the scenes. You thought your silence was a sign of faith dying, but Jesus was listening even closer in the quiet. When your lips stopped speaking, your spirit kept groaning, and the Spirit of God interpreted every syllable with divine precision. You see, you're not just living out random moments. You're walking through a sacred script written in the ink of your own faith. And now is the scene where the prayers from past chapters return to rescue you in this one. You don't need to do anything to earn this. You don't need to perform. You don't need to prove anything. You just need to receive. The storm you're in right now is not bigger than the prayers you sowed years ago. The valley you're walking through right now is not deeper than the promises God spoke over you when you still believe like a child. And that's the key. Childlike belief doesn't die. It just gets buried under fear, rejection, disappointment, and survival. But Jesus is peeling back the layers of your heart now, reaching through time itself, reminding you of the strength you carried even when you didn't know what to ask. Some of you will start remembering dreams you once had. Some of you will suddenly have flashbacks of moments when you cried out for things you no longer think about. Do not ignore those moments. That is heaven tapping on the archive of your soul, showing you that the forgotten things are not gone. They're scheduled for release. And this time, they're returning with more power than you had when you first asked for them. Jesus is about to open doors that you don't feel ready for. but they're not based on your current strength. They're based on the promises attached to your forgotten prayers. These next few days are not random. They are timed. Watch for divine interruptions. A voice on the phone, a memory in a dream, a stranger saying something that shocks your spirit. These are not coincidences. These are divine confirmations that your forgotten prayers are rising, like incense in the presence of God, and they are now becoming weapons of breakthrough in your favor. Don't be afraid of what you don't understand. Don't be discouraged if it feels overwhelming. You're not going backward, you're going deeper. What you once prayed with trembling lips, you're now about to walk out with trembling awe. And the glory that's coming will carry the fingerprints of your younger self, the childlike believer who prayed with raw honesty. Jesus says what you thought was forgotten was actually preserved, and what you thought was lost is returning multiplied. Stay close, because the release has already begun. There is something sacred happening in the unseen right now, something so powerful, so divinely orchestrated, that even if you could peel back the veil between this world and heaven, you still wouldn't comprehend the magnitude of it, because Jesus has summoned angels by name, assigned not just to you in general, but to the specific forgotten moments of your faith, angels who were dispatched when you were still a child, or when you were broken, or when you felt invisible and unworthy in thought. You were praying into silence, when in truth, you were shaking heaven's throne without realizing it. You thought your words evaporated, but they actually built altars in the spirit realm, altars of sacrifice, altars of surrender, altars that marked you as someone who dared to hope even in pain. And now Jesus is standing beside those altars and igniting them with holy fire again. You will begin to feel a strange heat inside your soul, a glowing awareness that something holy is waking up from within. Because this isn't about the prayers you prayed last week or even last year. This is about the ones you prayed when you still had childlike wonder, when you didn't care how it looked, when all you knew was that there had to be something greater than the pain you were feeling, and even though life tried to beat that wonder out of you, heaven has preserved the essence of it, like seeds held in a vault, and now those seeds are cracking open under the weight of divine timing. You have no idea the magnitude of what's been growing in the silence. You have no idea how close the breakthrough is that you sowed for with forgotten prayers. And Jesus says that is exactly how faith works. Sometimes you don't get to remember what you asked for, because what you're about to receive would terrify you if you knew how much weight it carried, how much responsibility it holds, how much glory is tied to it. He didn't let you remember because he wanted to protect you from trying to interfere with the process. But now that the promise is ready, now that the season has shifted, now that the gates of heaven are trembling under the pressure of every angel's wings carrying your answers, Jesus is starting to stir your spirit awake, to cause you to dream again without knowing why, to make old memories resurface at random times, to flood your heart with sudden longing you can't explain, because the prayers you forgot are approaching your life like waves that were once far out at sea but are now crashing toward shore, and no one could stop them, not even you, not even the fear you've carried for years, not even a voice in your head that says you don't deserve good things anymore. Jesus says the prayers you forgot weren't based on perfection. They were based on desperation, humility, purity, and those are the prayers that heaven is most faithful to honor. Some of the things you're about to walk into, opportunities, relationships, unexpected favor, They're not just blessings, they are answers from old altars. And when they show up, they will feel too big for the current version of you. That's why Jesus is expanding your heart right now, stretching your inner being, enlarging the tent of your soul. Because what's coming has to fit the faith you once had but didn't yet understand. This is divine redemption at a supernatural level. This is the moment when what you forgot comes back to find you. And what's astonishing is this. Some of your forgotten prayers were not for yourself. Some were for other people. Some were for loved ones who left you, for enemies you tried to forgive, for friends you once interceded for in secret. You forgot that you even covered them in prayer, but heaven didn't. And now, God is not only sending answers to you, He's sending answers through you. He's making you a vessel of other people's breakthroughs. That's why you're about to walk into rooms where your presence alone will shift the atmosphere. Because your forgotten prayers built spiritual momentum you didn't even know was attached to you. People will start to say there's something different about you, that they feel peace around you, that miracles seem to happen when you show up, and it won't be because of what you've done recently. It'll be because of what you sowed in the past, in private, when you didn't even know your prayers mattered. The Lord says this next season of your life will be marked by answered silence. You won't need to speak as much, because what you forgot will begin speaking for you. Favor will speak. Restoration will speak. Sudden turnarounds will speak. And they will declare one thing: God never forgot you. So now you must get ready. Prepare your heart like someone who is about to meet a promise face to face. Start thanking God for things you don't remember asking for. Praise Him in advance for outcomes you never imagined. And most of all, stay sensitive to His whispers. He will begin showing you glimpses, numbers, dates, old journal pages, places you haven't visited in years, random names you haven't thought of in a decade. Do not dismiss them. They are breadcrumbs on a path leading back to the altar of your origin, the very place where your forgotten prayers were first born. And now, they're coming back with glory attached. Keep watching. Keep breathing. Keep expecting. The flood of remembrance is rising, and with it comes deliverance, restoration, and the unraveling of miracles you never knew you had already birthed. Jesus is not finished. He's only just begun to awaken what's been buried, and He promises what is returning now will be greater than anything you ever imagined when you first prayed it. And now Jesus begins to reveal the hidden architecture of your life, the blueprint He was quietly designing behind the veil of your forgetfulness. Because every moment you thought was lost was actually a thread in the sacred tapestry of divine alignment, and every tear you thought dried in vain was kept in heaven's bottle as a testimony that your soul never gave up, even when your mouth was silent and your memory clouded with pain. The Lord says that what you are stepping into now isn't just a season. It's a reckoning of prayers, a spiritual inheritance finally reaching maturity, a return of things you thought time had swallowed up forever. He is taking you back, not to haunt you, but to heal you. He is reopening chapters, not to punish you, but to reveal that He had already written the ending before the pain ever began. The prayers you've forgotten carry ancient power, spiritual codes your soul spoke when you didn't yet know how much weight your words had. And now those words are activating in the spirit like keys inserted into eternal locks, opening doors that have waited patiently in realms untouched by time. And this is why lately you've felt things stirring in your sleep, why strange dreams have started reappearing, why sudden flashes of the past interrupt your quiet moments. Because heaven is syncing your soul with the rhythm of its memory, not your mind's memory, but your spirit's memory, the one that never forgets what your heart truly longed for. And Jesus says you are not just being remembered, you are being reintroduced to the version of you that heaven always saw, the version of you who believed before life wounded you, the version of you who prayed with trembling lips and thought nothing happened, but whose cries became thunder in heaven's courtroom. Even now, angels are revisiting the places where those prayers were first whispered: bedrooms, hospitals, cars, churches, broken sidewalks, childhood homes. And they are gathering spiritual evidence that what was spoken in sorrow must now return in joy. And some of what is coming will feel overwhelming, not because it is foreign, but because it carries the emotional weight of promises you dared not believe would ever come true. You may feel unprepared. You may feel unworthy. But Jesus says this has never been about worthiness. It has always been about surrender. And what you surrendered in your weakest moment, He has now made powerful in His divine timeline. Get ready for holy interruptions. Get ready for relationships to return out of nowhere, conversations to surface that you never thought you'd have again, doors to swing open in ways that bypass logic, and for your name to be brought up in rooms you've never even entered. Because this is how God moves when He honors forgotten prayers. He doesn't just answer them quietly. He does so in a way that proves He never forgot. And you must understand, not all the answers will look like what you expected. Some will come wrapped in challenge. Some will come disguised as new responsibilities. Some will stretch you so far that your current comfort zone will feel like a cage. But that stretching is confirmation. It means the prayer has been heard. It means the growth you asked for in a past season has arrived in the form of something your present self must grow into. And Jesus wants you to know that even your physical body will begin to sense this shift. You may feel bursts of energy followed by fatigue, moments of intense hunger or strange stillness, sudden tears, or inexplicable joy, because your soul is trying to process what the mind cannot understand. Heaven is awakening the echoes. The sound of what was once forgotten is being replayed in the spirit, and it's calling your destiny forward like a song you knew long ago but hadn't heard in years until now. And just like that song, when it returns, you'll remember the lyrics even if you thought you'd forgotten them. Your soul never lost the melody, and now Jesus is singing it back to you. But He isn't just singing for your sake. He's summoning miracles to come into alignment. He's summoning the person you once prayed for and let go of. He's summoning the opportunity that once slipped through your fingers. He's summoning healing that had no name at the time you cried out. He's summoning restoration that seemed impossible when you were surrounded by chaos. Because He knows what you don't. That time in heaven works differently, and nothing is ever too late when your prayers were planted in eternity. Even the mistakes you made after those prayers do not cancel their power. Even seasons when you ran from God didn't disqualify your requests. Why? Because Jesus knew you were coming back. He knew that someday your heart would grow tender again. He knew that deep down, your soul remembered the flame, even if your memory could no longer find a match. And now that fire is reigniting. It's not just revival, it's remembrance. The kind of remembrance that brings justice. The kind that brings divine reversals. the kind that brings thunderous answers into your quietest places. And yes, He will use even the scars, even the things you thought were too broken to ever speak of again, even the nights you thought were wasted. All of it is being gathered into a holy orchestration. And Jesus says the ones who laughed at your silence will soon witness your overflow. They won't understand how it happened. They'll wonder how you walked through fire and came out glowing. And the only explanation will be this: Jesus remembered what I forgot. Let that be your testimony. Let that be the anchor you hold onto when doubt creeps in. Because what's coming next will prove, without a doubt, that the forgotten prayers were the most powerful ones you ever released, and their time has finally come. And now Jesus asks you to pause, not to stop moving forward, but to understand the weight of what is about to happen. Because when heaven begins to answer forgotten prayers, it does not knock politely. It pours like rain after years of drought. It floods your soul with long-delayed hope. It breaks through every logical explanation until the only thing left to say is, "This must be God." He says, the time of silence is over. The things you used to beg for and weep for, the words you cried into the darkness, thinking they'd dissolve into the night, they were never lost. They were planted. They were collected in His wounds and stored in the treasury of mercy. And now heaven is unlocking that vault. You are standing on holy ground, not because of anything you've done recently, but because the past you forgot was holy too. Every pain, every loss, every unanswered moment was not a void. It was a preparation. And Jesus is whispering this truth into your spirit right now. Your life is about to look like a miracle you never saw coming. He is sending people who once ignored you back into your life to honor the oil that was always on you. He is restoring conversations you thought had no closure, and He is redeeming years that seemed wasted. The people who once judged your silence will be silenced themselves, not by revenge, but by your radiance. Because when Jesus answers forgotten prayers, He does so in a way that glorifies only Him. He doesn't just fix things. He transforms them until they are unrecognizable compared to the pain that birthed them. That job you lost? It made room for a calling. That heartbreak you survived? It carved out space for someone truly divine. That sickness you overcame? It now speaks as proof that God still heals in modern time. You're not just being blessed. You are becoming a living testimony of what happens when heaven finally speaks over what earth tried to bury. And here is the part no one told you. The enemy knew your forgotten prayers had power. So he worked overtime to distract you, to convince you that your past cries were pointless, that your midnight worship didn't move anything, that your secret journaling and trembling declarations went unnoticed. But the devil is not afraid of your strength. He's afraid of your surrender. He's afraid of what happens when you realize you never needed to remember everything you prayed for, because heaven kept the record. Jesus has been preserving every syllable, every breath of faith, every broken hallelujah. And now He is breathing on it all. The breath of God is sweeping through timelines, past, present, and future. It's causing divine acceleration. What should have taken decades will now take months. What should have been impossible is now becoming natural. What seemed like coincidence will soon feel like undeniable orchestration. He's even orchestrating moments you don't realize are sacred, like scrolling at this very second and hearing these words. This isn't random. It's the fulfillment of an ancient echo that once left your lips when no one was listening. But heaven was. And now, every force that tried to delay you is being dismantled. Chains are snapping in silence. Walls are falling without you even seeing them. Doors are swinging open because your name was spoken in celestial places before you were even born. You are not late. You are not behind. You are exactly on time for what God planned when He heard your cry, whether you remember it or not. And Jesus wants you to know this. The miracle is not in the memory. The miracle is in the surrender. The moment you said, Lord, even if nothing happens, I trust you. That was the moment the heavens shifted. The angels recorded it. The Spirit sealed it. And now you will walk into rooms and not know why people treat you with such honor, because they see the answer on you. You won't need to explain. You won't need to convince. The glory will speak for itself. And the tears you cry from now on will be different. They will be joyful, awestruck tears of someone who knows that nothing was wasted. And Jesus says to tell you this directly. I heard you the first time. And now I am answering in a way that even your enemies will confess was divine. This is your reward, not for being perfect, but for being persistent, even when you didn't know you were. For holding on by a thread when others let go. For believing in something invisible when everything around you screamed otherwise. And yes, there's a promise tied to this moment. A blessing you didn't even know was possible is waiting in the next chapter. But here's the part that will stretch your faith even more. Jesus says the biggest answer to your forgotten prayer isn't just one thing. It's a ripple effect. One blessing will cause another. One healed relationship will unlock another door. One restored opportunity will snowball into something you could never have imagined. That's why you must stay the course. That's why the enemy has been attacking you so hard lately, because he senses the release. But it's too late now. The seal is broken. The gates are open, and the glory is on its way to your doorstep. Don't run from it. Don't disqualify yourself. Don't try to understand it all at once. Just step into it. Walk with Jesus through the open path of remembrance, knowing that the only reason you're still standing is because He never forgot. And to those who make it all the way to this moment, Jesus says there is one last promise, one holy confirmation that this is not imagination, not hype, not hope with no substance. Over the next 7 days, you will receive a sign so personal, so precise, so emotionally piercing that you will fall to your knees, not in fear, but in worship. It might be a dream, a face from the past, a number, a voice, a divine coincidence, but when it comes, you will know. And when you receive it, don't just say thank you. Say, I remember, because in that moment, everything will make sense. And you will never again doubt that Jesus not only hears, but never forgets.